I'm going to show you some things on the screen, and I want you to say the first thing that you see on the screen. Can everybody do that? Can everybody do that? Yes. Fantastic. Just checking you're all awake. My eyes are very bad. I can't see at the back over here. So I'm going to show you something on the screen. I want you to say the first thing that comes to your mind. Before I do that, I'm going to do just a show of hands. I just want a bit of feel of the audience. Who in the room thinks that talent is more important than experience? Put your hands up if you think talent is more important than experience. Okay, a fair few of you. You're not sure? Only one at this moment. Okay, put your hands down, thank you very much. Who thinks experience is more important than talent? Okay? You're cheating, you're putting both up. Okay, slightly less on that category. Okay, we're going to play a game and we'll see where we go. Okay. First thing on the screen. Hopefully this works, the gremlins haven't got us just yet. What's that? Sorry, what's your name? Jenny, don't get scared, don't worry. I'm not going to embarrass you too much. Sorry, Jenny, can you say what you saw on the screen? Man overboard. Now, how did you get to that?
I don't know,
just instant. You just instantly saw it. So it just came into your head and you flashed and you were confident enough to say man overboard. Does everyone agree that Jenny got the right answer? Yes, fantastic. Please, big round of applause for Jenny. Thank you very much. That wasn't quite a big round of applause, but I'll let you off. It's the first time you've done it, so I'll let you off. So yes, the answer is man overboard. So what we see is man above the line, and you've got man overboard, a common saying that is in most of our lexicon. Next. What's that? Wow, Jenny, look what you've done. You've inspired the whole room. My goodness. I'm going to pick on somebody else now, Jenny, because you're all right over there. Young lady here. Sorry, what's your name? Caris. Lovely name, Caris. Now, Caris, what did you see when you saw that on the screen? Mind over matter. So you followed a similar thing to what Jenny said before, and you mind over matter. Does everyone agree that Caris got the right answer? Mind over matter. Please, big round of applause for Caris. Thank you. We're really going to have to work on your clapping, but it's all right. I'll let you off again. So mind over matter, yes. So we've got somebody who's taught us a skill, and now the room has applied that skill, and we eventually got Caris and the rest of the room, a lot more people who are more confident to actually answer the question. So we've applied that skill, and we've got a bit of experience. Does everyone agree? Yes? Okay, so we're going to play it once again. What does that say? Oh, tumbleweed again. Who said that? You did. Men, what's going on? The women are taking over. What's going on? So what's your name? Nothing wrong at all. I'm all for women taking over. Don't shoot me. Ali. Now, Ali, what did you see when you saw that on the screen? I understand. Now, come on, how many of you in the audience were saying there, stand over I? And how many of you are thinking, that stupid Tim, he's got it bloody wrong? What is it? Who brought this joker onto the stage to try and teach us this thing? So, Ali, you saw, I understand. Do you play puzzles, do crosswords? Or?
No, I just spent the last one thinking that actually it was as valid to say it the other way around, which is what people expected, so I anticipated to do that. So you've got anticipation skills, you've got a talent for looking forward ever so slightly. So we like that. Thank you very much, Ali. Please, big round of applause for Ali. The interesting thing about that exercise is twofold. Firstly, if you only applied your previous experience, you wouldn't have got the right answer. And what lots of us do, particularly when we get to business scenarios where things are rapidly changing as they are currently in our environment, you apply what you knew yesterday to the same scenario. But actually, what is entrepreneurial? What is about business success, in my humble opinion, and with the two companies I have, one which is an events company and another which is about taking people into recruitment, what I've found is actually about doing things differently which makes you successful. It's finding things that are slightly disruptive, which are slightly out of kilter. When you turn something on its head is actually when you find some of the most successful opportunities. So when you're looking at your businesses, it's identifying what problems and problems you see in the market that you can actually change and come up with a slightly different solution. The other thing around this is around, all too often, we haven't got the confidence to actually say what we think directly. Now, Ali, you're not a shy kid, I take it. No, not at all. Okay, fine. It's about being confident enough to articulate that, particularly around our business ideas. Because all too often in environments like this, you never know who you might meet, who needs to hear about what your solution is to a particular problem. The I understand one, just before we get on to the next one, just want to check if you all were really awake. What does that say? Who said that? You did. Gentlemen, please. Hello, what's your name? Miranda. Is that right? Yes? Thank you very much, Miranda. What did you see? backwards glance. All too often, someone will throw you a curveball. Someone will throw you a curveball, but you've got to respond in an interesting way. It's finding individuals, in my humble opinion, who have those talent and skills around you, because all too often, as I said at the beginning, we try to do things all by ourselves. We can't do that all the time. Sometimes we have to have people in our teams, in our networks, who allow us to answer the questions when they're presented to us. In business particularly, if I can get through this, you may feel like that. All too often you'll feel like that, where you don't know what's happening. We don't know what you're going to do, what the next decision is. That's when you have to actually apply this. It's about the focus, about what got you into business in the first place. What was the thing that was driving you to that form of success, whether it's video editing or any other business that you were getting involved in? What can you do to focus your head to answer the particular problem? Because all too often when you're flapping around feeling like you're a bit lost, it's about taking a minute moment of silence and just thinking about it and then focusing your mind. All too often you get the answer and somebody else will tell you that they understand. Somebody else with talent, somebody else with a skill that you don't have. You don't have to have every single skill to run your particular business. That's not what being entrepreneurial is, in my humble opinion. Being entrepreneurial is admitting that you don't know the answers and finding people who do. Ali, you're on my team. So are you, Cerise, and so are you, Miranda. That's the key. You find those individuals. In answer to the question, I actually think it's a bit of a non-question, to be perfectly fair. I think you need a combination of talent and experience to work. Look at any football team. I won't mention any because I might get lynched. But if you mention any football team, you'll always find either an experienced player or experienced coach who can identify and spot talent and harness that together. The combination, I think, is what's really important. Why events like this are really important, because you have a mixture of experience and talent in this room where the combination of those two could be really, really powerful. Move on. Next one was P's and Q's, wasn't it? Anybody know what P's and Q's are? Anyone ever guess what P's and Q's are? Okay, for me, they were, when I was growing up, they were personality and quality. Is very close. Is what my mum called your pleases and your thank yous. It was simple manners. My mum was very key about, Tim, you must have manners. That's why anyone who was older than me was an uncle or an auntie. That's how it was when I grew up. That's the way it was. That's changed. My daughter doesn't talk like that. Everyone's first name terms. Like, oh, get someone. Anyway, before I get off too much of a tangent. The whole point for me, P's and Q's, is about being renowned for something. I remember growing up, my role model was Trevor McDonald. I used to love Sir Trevor. Not only was regularly on time, every day, he was there on the television, but he stood for certain personal qualities, integrity and dignity. And for me, that's who I wanted to personify. That's what I wanted to replicate. And that was incredibly important when I was growing up, about who I wanted to be represented by. And my mum was very key about saying that pleasing and thank you is important, as well as having manners in business, because I feel that the whole caricature of The Apprentice and the Dragon's Den has pushed that to one side, where that's not as important, where actually I think it actually is. Ethics around business, the way that you present yourself is very important. I actually think the P's and Q's I'm about to tell you are really important around your businesses. The first one is around passion. You've really got to tap in what got you into the business or endeavour that you've started. What was that thing, that driving force that made you travel down what Felix Dennis calls the narrow road? What put you in the position where you were going to risk security, or what we call the corporate pillows of life, regular payments, sick pay, all those other lovely things that you lose when you become a business owner sometimes when you start out? What made you get into that in the first place? What was the product or service that you wanted to give or provide that was going to make someone's life better, more efficient? What was the problem that you were solving? Because when it does go on those down curves, that's when you're going to have to tap into those passionate moments. When you're coming up with a new marketing campaign, that's when you're going to have to tap into those passionate moments. Because that should be the driving force around your business ideas, as well as wanting to make money or do whatever. For me, it's about a legacy for my family. That's the only reason I'm involved in business. I want to give my daughter and my son as many chances as possible. You may want to buy a Lamborghini, whatever it may be. Tap into that passion in terms of what got you into it in the first place, because when it does get difficult, that's when you're going to need to actually enact that and get you through. Next one's about a plan. Now, all too often people get really confused about plans, business plans particularly. And when we receive them at Bright Ideas Trust, the foundation that I set up in 2007, that has now invested into 27 businesses amongst young people who are all under the age of 30, who have come from interesting backgrounds. And we're very proud of what we've done in raising over £1.4 million for the organisation. we have a number of young people who come to us with a business plan that's 50 pages long. And half of it's copied and pasted from Google. And it's all around the marketing they're going to do. Because the misconception, again, is that your business plan has to be a war and peace exercise. No. When I'm talking about plans, I'm talking about what do you want to do with your business? What's the proposition? What's the idea that you want to do in a very short period of time? And we tend to ask our businesses for about 10 pages on what they're planning. But I'll give you a little story about why I think planning can sometimes get a bit awry. I did some work with a hotel chain. The CEO, had set a task for his board where he wanted to be a couple of percentage points up against their competitors, their nearest competitor. And he set a task to the board and said, go out and make that happen. Just go out and make it happen. I want you to come up with a revolutionary idea. I'm empowering you to come up with an idea to make that happen. So they all run off, and I was working quite closely with the CIO, Chief Information Officer of the company. And he was seen as a bit of a princess on the board. He didn't have quite as much gravitas. He had slightly bit more than the HR person, but not quite more. I did a CIPD, so I know the kicking that HR people do get sometimes. And he went off, and he wanted to have, this was his opportunity, he felt, to make a difference. So he went out and he found this piece of technology which was able, when people came through the hotel foyer, was able to recognise certain facial features about them, send an email to the reception desk. So when they got to the reception desk, the person would say, welcome back, Mr. or Mrs. X. Fantastic to see you again at the hotel. Or if they hadn't been there before, welcome them with a really personalised greeting. He put together a fantastic business plan, put together a nice business case about the benefits and the potential for the customer service score, because one of the key scores on there was about recognising when customers have been back again. Excuse me, if I could just have a little bit of quiet at the back, that would be fantastic. Thank you very much. So what he did, he put that plan together and he came back to the CEO and he presented it on the desk, all happy as Larry. And I remember meeting him afterwards, he was a bit despondent. I said, what happened? He said, he didn't like it. I said, why didn't you like it? He said, I think it had something to do with the cost of £2.4 million to install the software. I said, yeah, you might want to think about that. So I walked around the foyer and I walked around with him, and then we walked past the reception desk and we heard somebody say, welcome back, Mr. whoever it was. And I went over, I said, let's go and ask the receptionist. I said, how did that actually happen? How did you know that that person had been here before? And she said, well, we've got quite an easy system. The bellboy who picks up the case at the luggage at the beginning of the door, he asks the person a really simple question. Is this your first time? Not in that way, you don't laugh like that, please, no. And she says yes or no. If it's a yes, the suitcases or luggage are put parallel to the desk. The person looks over, sees it there. If they're not, it's put at an adjacent angle and it welcomes in a completely different way. That interaction with that person, he went back and presented the idea, customer percentage points went through the roof, £2.4 million saved. Sometimes it's better to keep it simple rather than to overcomplicate things, because it's about the desired outcome, not the process all the time. And sometimes we get too caught in the process, which is important sometimes, but the focus point has to be what's the output? What are we trying to achieve? Because all too often we get caught up and bogged down in the detail, and that makes people feel rather comfortable sometimes. But we've always got to remember, what is the outcome? What are we trying to achieve? That individual was not trying to achieve a spend of £2.4 million. It was to get the customer percentage points up. And there's more than one way to do that sometimes. Yeah? So it's always interesting to focus on the plans, but really about what are you trying to achieve rather than showing how clever you are with the amount of words you can fit into a business plan. There you go. Next one, partnerships. I've already talked about the importance of working with people,